Well, at least 19 people have died of a heroin overdose in St. Joseph County already this year. And all week, we've been showing you the effects that the heroin epidemic has had on our community.
First responders are now being equipped with something called Narcan. It's a drug that could save a lot of lives. WSBT-22's Patrick Roth is here, and Patrick, Indiana is making a really big push here to make sure first responders are trained in knowing how to use these.
Yeah, Jennifer, so far 50 out of the 480 law enforcement agencies around the state are using it. Attorney General Greg Zeller said that it's already saved more than 150 lives, and some agencies have been using Narcan for a while. But now doctors can prescribe it to family members and friends of addicts. But officials warn Narcan is not a simple fix.
We've had it described as an epidemic even, and I think that's an accurate assessment.
That's how LaPorte County Sheriff's Deputy Mike Kellums describes the heroin problem, an epidemic. And he's not alone.
It seems to be, if you went back 6 or 7 years, you would never have heard of a heroin overdose. But in that time frame, it has become so prominent that, as I say, there can be times where we're responding to 3 or 4 of them a week now.
First responders here in LaPorte County are joining other agencies throughout the state and carrying a new weapon in the battle against heroin, naloxone, or as it's more commonly known, Narcan.
I've been to calls, and I know a number of our personnel have, where the patient is blue because of lack of breathing and oxygen, and where the Narcan has been administered, and within a minute or two they're up sitting there talking to you.
It can be life-saving for somebody who's overdosed. If the narcotic is causing them to stop breathing, the Narcan can be truly life-saving.
Narcan has been used in hospitals and by some paramedics for decades. But now, as more first responders and even some family members of addicts trained to use it, there are some concerns. One fear is that it might wind up encouraging addicts to be even more careless and create a false sense of security.
You know, to me, if my son or daughter was addicted to narcotics and I knew that there was something that I could have in my hand if I walk in the bedroom and they're not breathing and I could give that to them, I would really not want to not be able to do that.
Another concern is that since paramedics and first responders will have to report how often, and in some cases where they use Narcan, people might be reluctant to call for help.
People are naturally afraid of going to jail. They know that what they're doing is illegal, and so they may have a hesitation. But we would encourage anybody to understand that when we respond, we're doing it for the prevention of loss of life. That's our #1 priority and our #1 goal.
Now, first responders and doctors say that Narcan is really only the first line of defense, and it's only used to treat overdoses. So, Jen and Rick, it won't and it can't do anything to treat the larger problem of heroin addiction that we're seeing in our area.
So I'm curious, does Narcan work only on heroin, or does it have the ability to work on other drugs as well, overdosing?
You know, it actually works on any opiate, so that can include oxycodone, codeine, morphine, but it wouldn't work on something like cocaine or meth. And actually, Narcan only lasts in the body for about 30 to 90 minutes, while some of those drugs can stay in for up to 4 to 6 hours. So it's common for someone who gets Narcan from an overdose, once that Narcan wears off, they could actually wind up suffering another overdose. So that's why it's so important for anyone who's suffering from any of those overdose symptoms to stay under medical treatment.
Yeah, get the help they need.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And we have a series on the heroin epidemic that wraps up tomorrow. The St. Joseph County prosecutor wants to create a drug unit to investigate overdose deaths. What that could mean in the fight tomorrow on WSBT 22 News at 6.